The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
It's 11:06 on WSIC News Radio, and you're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of the show, 844 Studio 4. We are streaming live on the WSIC News app and all the various social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, all points in between.
David,
Senator Sawyer, good morning. How are you?
I am fantastic. Running in here a little hot. You know, I thought I had my day together, but apparently in fine Friday fashion, we're pulling it all together at the last minute. But we are committed to delivering radio excellence.
High quality radio excellence.
Yes.
That's all you're going to get from us in our extensive planning that we put in every week. So,
joy.
Joy.
Are you feeling joy?
So much joy coming out of Chicago. So much joy coming out of Chicago. Last night was the final night of the Democratic convention there in Chicago, ending with Vice President Kamala Harris after a hard-fought primary in which she garnered so many votes, accepting the nomination for the Democratic nomination
David,
for president.
Does it not just hit you that, like, this is the party that bills themselves as the party of democracy?
Yes, democracy is under attack.
And it's under attack by Republicans. And then you look at their pick, and she's like, not one vote. She backed out. Like, how did she get here if it's a party of democracy?
Well,
and they're suing to keep third-party candidates like RFK off the ballot in all these states.
Well, democracy for thee, not for me.
Oh,
that's not how that works.
Okay.
I mean, the democracy's for the little people, Vicky.
Oh.
It's not for the power in the Democratic Party. It's for the little people.
Really?
Yeah, they're the ones. They get to have some democracy. The Democrats, they pat us all regular folks on the head, and they know best.
Do they?
They do. Just look. You could look at their policies and know that if they had offered a single one during the course of 4 days, but it was constantly how great Kamala was, and then how, and I got to tell you, I just have to say, relegating Joe Biden to like 11 o'clock Eastern time on the first day of the convention, and then sending him back to Delaware to be quiet is the last and final insult to regardless of party, you stuck an outgoing president of the United States on the first night and you double billed him with Hillary. I mean, is there any bigger smack in the face of an outgoing president than that? Now, bear in mind, he's not salient enough to understand what happened. I'm sure they probably told him it was Thursday and he was thinking it was great, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I watched as much of it as I could. I can only stomach so much of that.
That's true.
But it was very interesting. So much joy,
hope.
and a lot of clapping, a lot of I think Vice President Harris's speech was about 37 minutes. I think is what she clocked in at, which, having heard her speak before, that's probably smart. There is a reason and rhyme behind that, and of course, even with a teleprompter, she can sometimes get a little haywire. But it will be interesting to see going forward now what happens, right? Obviously, we're going to talk polling a little bit here in just a minute.
We're not going to talk polling. I'm bringing a segment back, and we have a special guest with us who's going to play a little bit. But guys, back by popular demand. You mean the vote of one, which was me.
It is your show.
It is my show. We are going to do a poll quiz just like we did with you and Bill.
Okay, so I have an opportunity to redeem myself because Bill beat me last time.
Bill beat you last time, but this time we're going to substitute Bill for Valerie Zachary.
That is going to be an excellent... Wait, I've got to go head-to-head with a sitting judge?
You have to go head-to-head, not with just a sitting appeals court judge. You have to go head-to-head with a Harvard-educated appeals court judge.
All right, you stacked the deck against me a couple of weeks ago when it was me in the midst of coffee talk right here, which was, I have had more comments, by the way.
No way.
About that show, people saying how much they enjoyed it, and the consistent theme is I spoke the least during that entire thing, and I think people really glommed onto that. So I think there may be a future pattern there for you, bringing the
coffee talk.
Yes, bringing the coffee talk amongst yourselves thing back in. But people seem to enjoy that show.
I think they did too, and I enjoyed it as well. And Judge Zachary is here with us today. We're going to introduce her in a moment. But Judge Zachary, just for your information, I had my two best girlfriends on, And I would say they're pretty independently minded.
Definitely.
So if you guys didn't get to catch that show, go back on iTunes and check out the podcast. But they were just talking about their fears and their hopes and how they're going to vote in the future. And as a judge, I can't ask you that kind of stuff. Can you? There's like,
well, no, I'm not allowed to answer those kind of questions,
Nope.
unfortunately.
So we're keeping that off the table. But I do want to say something that is on the table. Can I brag on you a little bit? I'm going to brag on Judge Zachary.
Please.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to.
Yes, we will. Because you're on the ballot in November.
I am.
Yep. And you're asking the North Carolina voters to send you back to the North Carolina Court of Appeals, which you started as a judge in 2015. And then you were elected to a full 8-year term on the Court of Appeals in 2016. She graduated from Harvard.
Harvard.
How do you say it in your Southern twang? Say it.
In Yakanese?
Yes.
Yakanese.
Harvard.
Harvard. Okay. And then you just heard her Yakanese. The reason why and how I met her and her lovely husband, Lee, is when I was asking them to vote for me, and I was campaigning in Yadkin County. And they have been a fixture in Yadkin County for their entire lives, born and raised.
Well, I was gone for a little while, but yeah, I'm from Yadkin County. My father is from Yadkin County, and I was a Johnson. The Johnsons and the Zacharys have been in Yadkin County for hundreds of years. I always laughed that they couldn't get rid of them, so they're still there. My mother, though, is from Ann Arbor, Michigan. So I grew up in Boonville,
yes,
which is, when I was there, it was a little town of 500.
And now it has the Cracker Barrel.
No, that's Jonesville.
Oh, that's Jonesville.
No, Boonville. We had a blinking red light, but now we have an actual full stoplight. In
Okay,
Boonville.
very nice.
Okay, so we're jamming.
Yeah.
And then I moved went to half of junior high and high school in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay.
In the 70s, which was very different from Boonville.
Just a little.
And then got a scholarship to Michigan State and went there, and then went to Harvard. But I didn't want to go to Wall Street. I wanted to come back to North Carolina.
Oh.
So I went with a big firm in Charlotte and joined their litigation team. But then I met and married my husband and ended up right back in Yadkin County again.
Yeah. The husbands always derail everything.
Yeah.
That's just what we do.
I don't know, Dave. You've met her husband before. He's former
fantastic.
Representative Lee
Fantastic.
Zachary, the nicest man. We only have a minute left, so I'm going to talk about him just a second. I hear he got kind of an addiction to a store, Trader Joe's.
He is in the cult for sure.
Really?
He is in the cult. He loves, they have new stuff all the time, and he comes home with all these new desserts all the time.
Yeah.
And I have no willpower. Like, please, Lee, could you stop?
But they spend a lot of her time, and last few minutes or seconds that we have here, they spend a lot of your time, obviously, in Raleigh, because you do serve as a judge, but you call Yadkin County home. And now I think she calls her car home because she is going from Murphy to Manio, asking the good voters of North Carolina to have her return back as an appeals court judge. And then after the show, or after the break, we're going to talk about what is an appeals court judge and what can and can't you do on the campaign trail and how do people learn more about you. So we're excited. So stay tuned after the break.
Absolutely. We're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News. We'll be right back.
We'll return with more of NC Senator Vicky Sawyer, and We're Just Saying after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, another fall-like night under a mostly clear sky. Temperatures will fall down to generally around the 60-degree mark. Outlying spots and farms, typically cooler areas, you know who you are. Likely end up in the mid-50s by early Friday morning. Plenty of sunshine is back. We start to get a little warmer, but still not humid. Temperatures climb into the low 80s to end our work week, and heading into the weekend, nice weather hangs around. Mid-80s for Saturday and Sunday. Heat and humidity are back next week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Nina's Boutique.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree, Lake Norman, and Mooresville has free music this Thursday featuring a concert by Third Rail. Third Rail presents their high-energy show of rock and roll cover songs, while Langtree is open for food and drinks. Event time is 6:30 p.m., music begins at 7, and the Langtree shops off Exit 31 from I-77 are open all day. Grab your lawn chairs and enjoy Langtree Live this Thursday night with a free concert by Third Rail. Brookdale Village in Huntersville continues their Friday night Live Under the Oaks concert series with music from Dukes and Smith. The Dukes and Smith Band provides an energetic mix of pop, rock, country, R&B, and beach music. Come and enjoy all Brookdale Village has to offer with the free Dukes and Smith concert beginning at 6 p.m. Friday at Brookdale Village in Huntersville. Downtown Mooresville presents the Downtown Summer Sidewalk Sale this Saturday. Join locally owned businesses for hot sales. Come shop till you drop in downtown Mooresville on Saturday. Davidson presents Concerts on the Green Saturday. The Dave Matthews Tribute Band plays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the Davidson Village Green. Enjoy this free performance on Saturday night in downtown Davidson. On Saturday, September 7th, see the top riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and the 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement the moment the gates drop. The Super Motocross Fan Fest is a pre-race event taking place from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. where you can see the teams practice, prepare, and qualify for the playoff round and is included with your event ticket. Don't miss the biggest Super Motocross race of the year. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today. Are you concerned about losing your house if you go into a nursing home? Contact Crosswhite Law to learn about protecting your home. Crosswhite Law is here to protect you. Call 704-873-7233. CrosswhiteLaw.com.
Call now to speak with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer at 844-STUDIO-4. It's We're Just Saying on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Little thumping. Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of the show, 844-STUDIO-4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News app and all social media in between. So before we went to the break, Senator, you gave a nice little introduction to Judge Zachary. And here's, I think, the two big questions I think that I have on my mind as a potential voter. Or I am a voter, so I do get to. I will vote. I will. I'm not. Sure? I'm not so jaded yet. Okay. I'm not so jaded yet. I will vote. But I think the two big questions that I have is, one, sort of like how you and Vicky first got connected and how you went from Yadkin County through Michigan all the way to Harvard. And second, can you get me out of speeding tickets? So take whichever one of those first you want. But I think those are the two burning questions I have as a potential constituent for you.
Can I tell you when I first saw her?
Absolutely.
Okay. Scared to death. Walking into Yadkin County, I knew one person in Yadkin County, and that is an insurance agent named Tim Cook, and nervous. So I go and talk. And at that time, I just talked about my life experience. And that was that, a little bit of a troubled, I wasn't troubled. The people around me were. And they caused me a little bit of trouble.
Which has continued into your adult life.
Yes,
You're
exactly.
not troubled, but the people around you
You see the theme here. It's everybody else's problem, not mine. But I just, told folks, because I had grown up in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County and would play softball over Yadkin County. I just told my life experience about and why I wanted to run for Senate is because I knew as a little girl sitting in that trailer park with the cops coming in on Friday nights to make sure that, and going into DSS, that I wanted to do better. And when I got out of there, I will be better. And that's why I ran for Senate. And I just, like to see my name in lights. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Definitely.
That's a joke. But that's when we connected with Judge Zachary, and it was so kind. And because we have similar experiences, correct?
We do. And, I still remember that night. It was at a Lincoln Day dinner in Yadkin County. And when Vicky spoke, the woman next to me, we looked at each other and we're like, we're supporting her. We have to vote for her.
Thank you.
And you were wonderful. You did not look nervous at all. You were wonderful.
Oh, good.
And we wanted you to be successful. We were excited about it. and a lot of people come and speak and you don't necessarily get excited about them. You're like, okay, they seem fine, but we were excited about your candidacy, and you were different. Mm-hmm. And I guess maybe part of the reason for that was that we felt you could relate to us. You would represent us, people like us, regular people. And, I think we did have similar experiences. I'm the oldest of 5 children.
Wow.
And so my mother was from Ann Arbor. She met my father in Michigan. They married. He brought her back down to Yadkin County. They had 5 kids. But then when I was 7, he left. And so he left my mother with 5 children under, 7 and under. And she didn't have a job because she had been a homemaker. She had been a school teacher in Michigan, but she wasn't certified in North Carolina. And so, times were very rough. And I didn't see him again until I was an adult.
Wow.
But, my mother, set a very good example for all 5 of us. She got a job and she went to work every day regardless. I mean, I don't remember ever seeing my mother call in sick. She was always at work. She demanded that we do well in school. And you couldn't get a driver's license unless you had all A's and B's. Because she wouldn't sign for it.
Good for her.
She said that. And she always told, none of us tried her on this one. She always said, if you're smart enough to get yourself put in jail, you better be smart enough to figure out a way out because I'm not coming down there.
Oh, I like that one. I like that. Hey,
and obviously
David,
being a judge now, you took that to heart.
Yeah. David, so I think you got your answer to your second question there.
She can get me out of it.
No. If you're
That was her mother's philosophy, not hers.
Okay.
She might be a little nicer.
Well, my mom, it was... my mom started substitute teaching, and then, of course, that wouldn't pay the mortgage. So we had to move to a big old house in Boonville, and we had wood stove. And on New Year's Day in 1970, it was 0 degrees outside, right? We've got this wood stove, and the blame house catches on fire, okay? And my mother's such a school teacher. She's like, okay, children, everyone get in the car. The house is on fire. We didn't have a telephone, so we had to drive downtown and pull the little lever to notify the volunteer firefighters.
Wow.
But we lost everything. The house burnt down, and what wasn't ruined by the fire or by the water was taken by people who came and scavenged through what was left.
Wow.
But we had a fantastic church family. We attended a little tiny church in Boonville, and the next day they had us in another house with linens and clothing and everything. I mean, wow. I still can't believe that little church was able to do all that for us. And and a lot of other things happened. I mean, but we ended up moving to Michigan. When we moved to Michigan, we moved to a low-income housing development that was very violent. And my brothers and sisters had to go to an elementary school that was very violent. I was lucky because I went to middle school, which was a lot better. Mm-hmm. But you know what? We've all done fine. You cannot tell me that my brothers did not have the disadvantages, that a lot of other people have had. Mm-hmm. But, even though they went to that horrible elementary school where nobody goes to college from, my sister Pamela was an accountant. My brother Jeffrey is a principal scientist for a drug company. Wow. Jennifer works with the Cancer 360 program at Baptist, and my brother Jack's a banker. Wow. We have all done fine. And I really attribute that to my mother. And then I tried it with a young lady that Vicki knows in Yadkin County. Her parents were terrible. I met her and she was wonderful. She acted so enthusiastic about getting my dry cleaning for me. I was like, I want to work with this person. Yeah. I can train her, to be basically a legal assistant. And so we hired her and she was wonderful. She's like a daughter to us now. But she just didn't know. She told me her dream was to own her own home. her parents had always rented really bad houses. I mean, pitiful places. She wanted to own her own home. And I said, you can do that, but you're going to have to change some of the ways you're behaving. Because she and her husband weren't bad people, you know. They just didn't know. They didn't know what to do, you know. Well, now they have a brick ranch style house with a basement and a fireplace and an American flag flying out front. And they vote Republican every election.
Yeah. Well, I love that, because your theme is the reason why I'm Republican. I've heard several times in my campaign life when I tell our stories, similar stories, and they look at me and they go, well, why are you Republican? Republican hates poor people. I was like, quite the opposite. If you're a Republican, you believe that people like Judge Zachary and myself, who's just a lowly state senator, can come from humble beginnings without government intervention. Pull yourself up from your bootstraps with your own hard work and less government intervention with all of the red tape. If we can remove that, then we can make more people successful over time. And I love your story, because that's exactly the point.
And that's one of the things I think is that when you go around and you say, well, you can't. When I was in law school, one day I said, I think it's insulting to say that just because you're poor, you can't be expected to behave in a responsible manner. You know, I have been very poor. I've been with my mother when we were very poor. My mother always behaved in a responsible manner.
Right.
You know, and I understand that there are some people, you know, that have that you can't expect much from them because of the circumstances that they're in.
Sure.
Okay. And there are some people who are on their way to changing their behavior, and maybe what looks to me like it's an irresponsible choice actually isn't, if I knew the full circumstances. But as a rule, I think it's insulting to poor people to say you can't be expected to behave in a responsible manner. And I think it's demoralizing, because if you believe I can't get out of this situation, you know, I'm stuck here, there's nothing I can do, then why?
Yeah.
Why, you know,
then what's your
why
incentive
try?
to try?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what some people talk about when the Democratic Party is, they say, oh, bless your heart, we know better for you, so we're going to take care of you. Like, that's all this false joy that they're talking about at the Democratic National Convention this week. And I was like, no, they're preaching joy, because they're saying government is your solution to joy. And I humbly submit that the government will never give you joy.
No.
And it is,
I have never found joy in government.
No,
in any
just
capacity.
go to
From my taxes to the DMV. To
right?
I have never found
and
joy in
COVID,
government.
like, they just forgot COVID. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, you guys are preaching this thing about joy and vote for me because I'm going to give you joy. And I remember you took away all joy during COVID. Absolutely all joy. We had people dying alone in hospitals because you guys thought that a loved one couldn't come in and advocate for their patient care or be beside them and hold their hands when they're dead.
Now, be
That is
careful.
the
Remember,
opposite
the
of
judge
joy.
can't dive too deep
Oh,
into
yeah,
politics.
I'm sorry. I still get
The
mad about
opinions
that.
expressed by Vicky Sawyer are her own.
That's right. That's right. So we only have a few minutes left, so forgive me for my diatribe, or not, maybe even 30 seconds left. But it just makes me so angry because they say one thing and do another.
I think this is one thing that I can say. You know, that I'm not supposed to opine on issues that may come before the court, but I will, until they stop me, I will opine on my theory that we can all behave in a responsible manner. And if you will behave in a responsible manner, you will do well in America.
Oh, 100%.
Amen. Well
Absolutely.
said.
And that's I think that's one of the keys that you both point out, is like coming from such varied backgrounds, and you're both, you know, have a very similar philosophy politically. And I think there's something to be said for that. You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio. We'll be right back.
We'll return with more of NC Senator Vicky Sawyer, and We're Just Saying after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, another fall-like night under a mostly clear sky. Temperatures will fall down to generally around the 60-degree mark. Outlying spots and farms, typically cooler areas. You know who you are. Likely end up in the mid-50s by early Friday morning. Plenty of sunshine is back. We start to get a little warmer, but still not humid. Temperatures climb into the low 80s to end our work week. And heading into the weekend, nice weather hangs around. Mid-80s for Saturday and Sunday. Heat and humidity are back next week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi,
This is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Looking for a large private room for your next work function? Or maybe you need a place to bring the whole family for a delicious meal? Pomodoros of Mooresville has the perfect space for your crowd. Book your next event at Pomodoros.com.
For over 57 years, Nelson Royals has been serving the Lake Norman, Mooresville, Statesville, and surrounding counties. Nelson Royals has work in Western clothing and over 4,000 boots and shoes in stock. Brands like Ariat, Rocky, Justin, Durango, Tony Lama, Red Wing, Thorogood, Skechers, Hey Dude, and many more. Check them out at NelsonRoyals.com.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You've got a Pepto predicament, Beach Bum.
Hey, we're heading down to the beach. You coming?
Yeah, Dad. You coming?
I had a little too much to eat at the resort buffet. I need a minute. Oh, you overdid it. And now your beach vacation is giving you belly waves. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can get back to making memories.
Let's go, Dad!
When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. You gotta reach your children.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Today is the first day Fed Chief Jerome Powell has said in public that the next move on interest rates is going to be down. That has been the bet on Wall Street for some time, as both inflation and the labor market have eased, but the reaction from the market today is still an upbeat one. Following Powell's remarks at the Fed Symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, the Dow is gaining more than 0.5%, same with the S&P 500, NASDAQ up closer to 1%. You will soon be able to sit in the back of a self-driving cruise car in some markets. Uber Technologies plans to start offering the service to customers on its ride-hailing platform sometime next year. No locations have been yet announced. Once the multi-year partnership begins, an Uber rider requesting a ride will have the option of choosing a cruise autonomous vehicle. Oil futures right now moving higher by almost 2% to $74.50 a barrel. Dow, NASDAQ, S&P each rising 0.5 to a full %. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Now back to We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer. We are in with special guest Judge Valerie Zachary from the Court of Appeals here in North Carolina. So one of the things actually we were talking about during the break is, we as Republicans and conservatives let the North Carolina Supreme Court and some judge races slip over the course of some years. And with Supreme Court Justice Paul Newby, we began to refocus and we started bringing attorneys and judges with what I think we would consider a conservative judicial philosophy, more strict constructionist, more adherence to the law, less feelings, more fact. I guess I would say. And so you are actually running as part of a slate with Judge Jefferson Griffin. An attorney, Tom Murray, is running also for Court of Appeals in seat 12. You're obviously running for seat 14. And then Judge Chris Freeman for the Court of Appeals in seat 15. So you're actually running as part of a slate, similar to the way we did with the Supreme Court justices.
Yes, we are. And that has worked really well. They started this in 2020, and we have a judicial victory fund. The North Carolina GOP has gotten very involved in our races, and they weren't before. When I ran in 2016, they weren't involved in the judicial races. So it's made a huge difference. For example, we have slate cards that they're getting out all over the state that the North Carolina GOP is getting out. Because if you don't have the courts, you can have a supermajority in the legislature, but if you don't have the courts, it's not going to make a difference.
As we saw,
as you saw with voter ID.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the importance of this has come to light.
Yeah, and one of the things one of the consistent questions that I got, before we actually started doing that here in North Carolina was my parents would text and say, "Which judges should I vote for?" And out of just I don't know. There's no party next to them. I didn't do a lot of research and things like that. And so, the importance of having the judiciary now is so critical to make sure that, especially in the way that our legislature runs and the way our courts run. But I'm really interested to hear, going forward. So how did you find your way? When did you know you wanted to be a lawyer? How did you find your way to Harvard? Because obviously, given your background, you do not fit the I would say prototypical Harvard attendee.
No. Actually, I was not. I think there was one other person there who came from a difficult background. I always laugh that they only take poor people by accident, They sneak in, But when I was in 5th grade in Boonville Elementary School, it was around Watergate, and I was really into. My mom was into it, and so I was into it. I watched it all summer, and a friend from 5th grade says, I don't know if she's telling the truth because I don't recall this. She says, I was walking around with a Barbie microphone interviewing fellow students about their thoughts about Watergate.
Oh,
wow.
I don't think that's necessarily true. But
you know what? Somebody else said it. They believe it. Embrace it. It's a great anecdote. Embrace it.
But my 5th grade teacher decided that I needed to be a lawyer. And she wouldn't, I didn't know any lawyers, and my mom didn't really think it was appropriate for a woman to be a lawyer. She had been her two choices were nurse or teacher.
Mine too.
And so that's what she was kind of like, you pick one of those. Or be a dietitian. She really wanted me to be a dietitian.
Okay,
which I like that. That'd be fun. But my teacher she just wouldn't stop, all year. It was like, you are going to be a lawyer. We've got... And then when I moved to Michigan, I took civics for motivated students. And my teacher was Miss Sandelow, whose husband was the dean of U of M Law School, University of Michigan. And I got to be Tip O'Neill when we had a mock Congress, instead of one of the Congress people. And she was on this, she made me run for student council. She decided I was going to be a lawyer and a politician.
Oh, wow.
Okay, she had it all figured out.
She did.
And so then when I went to Michigan State, I got involved in some politics up there. And then my husband has been involved in politics for a long time, in Republican politics. And his parents were. His mother ran for superintendent of public instruction back when Republicans couldn't win dog catchers statewide. They just needed somebody on the ballot. And Lee said that they were sitting there at home in Yakima and they're watching the returns come in and Mary Jo was winning,
Yeah.
And Walter said, Mary Jo, I am not moving to Raleigh. And she started crying. She said, they told me I would lose. And then the next morning they got up in the eastern part of the state, their ballots had come in. And so she lost and all was well again in the Zachary household.
That's so funny. What a great
But
story.
I still have one of her little campaign cards. Which, she was, back then women didn't run for office, so it's like, she had been a school teacher, and so she decided she wanted to run.
Yeah.
But she was our national committee woman.
Oh, wow.
And she and Mr. Zachary were both very involved, and Lee was very involved. Lee worked for Senator Broyhill.
Okay.
And he was George H.W. Bush.
Okay.
I think he was his Western North Carolina guy and drove him around. They've just been very involved on the national level and local.
So those of us who listen to our radio show that aren't North Carolinians, that's a hard road to toe during that time to be a Republican. I mean, they were Republican before being Republican was cool.
Yeah.
And yes, it's cool to be a Republican.
Yes,
it is very cool to be a Republican, but I will tell you, Yadkin County has always been Republican. Chief Justice Newby said that, well, number one, we're the reddest county in the entire country.
Right.
Number two, Chief Justice Newby says that the Republican Party had its origins in North Carolina, in Yadkin County. So we couldn't get roads paved. The Democrats had it set up where to be a Superior Court judge, you had to run statewide. So we're all Republican, but we always had Democrat judges. Which isn't fair.
Right.
It's just not fair.
That's right.
And so Yeah, it was very difficult to be a Republican back then in North Carolina.
What was it like being a Republican at Harvard?
Oh,
About as bad?
Well, as bad as being an unreconstructed Southerner.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah. I'm sure you got funky looks when the people started hearing where you were from.
Well, see, you know what always got me was like, it's like, okay, I understand you're very liberal. What are you doing to help? Because I'm doing this, this, and this. And my Republican friend here is doing this, this, and this. What are you doing? Oh, nothing. Why, let's see you do something, and then let's talk.
Right.
And there are a lot of issues that I think people don't understand because they've never been poor. And so they don't understand what's going to be the most helpful thing to do.
I agree.
Absolutely. And so, what kind of at the appeals court level, what kind of cases come to you there?
When I was at
might you see one of my speeding tickets?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Very rarely.
See, David, I told you.
Yeah. All right. I'll have to figure that another way.
But basically, when I was at Kennedy Covington, I was on the litigation team, representing like Mitsubishi and big companies like that. And then when I came to practice with Lee, we did everything. And that's what we do at the Court of Appeals. One of our former chief judges called it the General Practice Court of Appeals.
Oh, okay.
And that's what it really is. We see everything that a general practitioner sees. So that gives me a great advantage on the court because a lot of the things that come in, I understand because I've administered an estate before. I've drafted wills. I've handled guardianships. I've a lot of the things that some of the other judges have had no experience with, which works out great for all of us.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's because we can advise one another.
So let me ask you something. So you get a case, and given that you're, you see so much general, right? I mean, you have to be well versed in a number of different areas of law. And so, like, I've always wondered when a judge gets a case, right? I mean, are you like listening to these things, listening to evidence, and like, I know the statute right now. I know this. I know right now how this is going to end up. Or is this one of those things where it's kind of like you got to go back into your chambers, you got to open your law books, you got to dig through and things like that. Like, sort of, what is your? Obviously, you listen to the case presented, everything like that. But then when it's come times to rule or make a judgment call or something like that, how are you processing that?
I have two young lawyers who work for me, and then another young lawyer who is my assistant, and handles the administrative type stuff. So what we do is we have all these briefs from the lawyers, and then we have transcripts of the trial, and then we have the record, which is basically all the pleadings that have been filed. And we read all of that. There are 3 judges on a panel. We all read them, and then we vote. So let's say you have a real estate question. I know I handle some real estate, but our real estate expert is Judge Tyson.
Okay.
So maybe Judge Tyson's on the panel. So you're like, hey, John,
What you think about this?
That's great.
Or like, it's a Medicaid issue. I know all about Medicaid, or guardianships and estates, things like that. And some of the big business court type stuff. And then there are other people who are prosecutors, like Judge Griffin. So you might go to him and be like, hey, what's the deal with this indictment thing? So
that's good to hear.
It's good to have some diversity on the court, which we do. Because we can help one another, and we all want to get it right, and we all want to put out great opinions. I've authored about 600 opinions now.
Oh my goodness!
I know they're like
600.
They're like big term papers where you explain why the panel made this decision. So they're available on nccourts.org.
So a lot of reading and a lot of writing.
Yes.
I would not have been a good judge.
No.
I would not have been a good judge.
No, you're good at reading and writing. It's the math that gets you every time. It's the math.
I don't do math. at all. Reading and writing, but
we don't have math.
But maybe I could have made it as a judge. Maybe I could have made it as a judge. You're listening to We're Just Saying. We'll be right back.
There's more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicki Sawyer on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, another fall-like night under a mostly clear sky. Temperatures will fall down to generally around the 60-degree mark. Outlying spots and farms, typically cooler areas. You know who you are. likely end up in the mid-50s by early Friday morning. Plenty of sunshine is back. We start to get a little warmer, but still not humid. Temperatures climb into the low 80s to end our work week, and heading into the weekend, nice weather hangs around. Mid-80s for Saturday and Sunday. Heat and humidity are back next week. What's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center? I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree, Lake Norman, and Mooresville has free music this Thursday featuring a concert by Third Rail. Third Rail presents their high-energy show of rock and roll cover songs, while Langtree is open for food and drinks. Event time is 6:30 p.m., music begins at 7, and the Langtree shops off Exit 31 from I-77 are open all day. Grab your lawn chairs and enjoy Langtree Live this Thursday night with a free concert by Third Rail. Brookdale Village in Huntersville continues their Friday night Live Under the Oaks concert series with music from Dukes and Smith. The Dukes and Smith Band provides an energetic mix of pop, rock, country, R&B, and beach music. Come and enjoy all Brookdale Village has to offer with the free Dukes and Smith concert beginning at 6 p.m. Friday at Brookdale Village in Huntersville. Downtown Mooresville presents the Downtown Summer Sidewalk Sale this Saturday. Join locally owned businesses for hot sales. Come shop till you drop in downtown Mooresville on Saturday. Davidson presents Concerts on the Green Saturday. The Dave Matthews Tribute Band plays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the Davidson Village Green. Enjoy this free performance on Saturday night in downtown Davidson. On Saturday, September 7th, see the top riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and the 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement the moment the gates drop. The Super Motocross Fan Fest is a pre-race event taking place from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. where you can see the teams practice, prepare, and qualify for the playoff round and is included with your event ticket. Don't miss the biggest Super Motocross race of the year. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
It's We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicki Sawyer on 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Welcome back to WSIC News Radio, and We're Just Saying with Senator Vicki Sawyer and David and special guest Judge Valerie Zachary. We're getting ready to go into the last segment here. So,
shall we play a game?
So, mad kudos to the good senator for bringing that up. I give her a hard time about her movie references. So that's a solid one. That's War Games. If you didn't know it, then you're not cool. Yeah, you had to know that
We
one.
are going to play a game. Again, it's backed by popular demand of one. That's me.
The only one that matters.
Well, when you're doing polling data and you're talking about it, it's so boring. Numbers are boring on the radio. And of course, David doesn't do math. So,
I do not.
have to do something. So we set it up game style, Judge Zachary. And we're going to have you play. Okay. And let me tell you, let me set up the game, okay? And then we'll keep score. Got to keep score.
It's the Harvard of the North versus the Harvard of the South. Harvard up north, UNC Charlotte down south.
Yes,
Here we go.
okay.
Harvard of the South, UNC Charlotte. We got this.
Okay, so let me tell you where the information came from. So Survey USA interviewed 1,200 adults from North Carolina from August 19th through the 21st. So not too long ago. They conducted the interviews with those folks, and 1,000 of those were identified as being registered to vote and were asked the questions which follow.
Okay.
So I'm going to present questions. You guys are going to take a guess, and whoever wins that question gets a point.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about presidential first, and then we're only going to talk about statewide races second, but not yours. Okay. First question. You ready?
Ready.
I'm nervous for you, David.
Look,
I'm
struggling to whether or not I should try to win or whether or not I should throw it on the off chance, like when I'm ultimately sued for something, my case gets in front of her.
Oh, okay.
So I'm making that calculation in my head, but you go ahead.
All right. Based on this poll of 1,200 adults, within 3 points in North Carolina, what is Kamala Harris's polling percentage right now, Valerie?
In North Carolina.
In North Carolina, back about just a week ago, what was Kamala Harris's polling percentage within 3 points?
I'm going to say 49%.
49. David?
I'm going to say 47.
David, 46 points.
Oh.
Come on.
Starting out of the
You
gate.
killed it.
Starting out of the gate.
Couple
Strong
starting
out of the
strong.
gate.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. We got 10 questions, so we're good. You got time to make up.
Okay.
Same format. Within 3 points, what is Donald Trump's polling percentage right now, David?
I would say 45.
I say 44.
David,
Again.
45. And now, look, I did not share this.
Judge, this is a total fluke, by the way. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Well, you can tell I've just been campaigning.
I bet if we asked her poll number, she would get it right on the dot.
But isn't that, now after Kamala, just my little 2 cents on this, North Carolina is back in play. I mean, before with Joe Biden, we kind of thought North Carolina was going to be +5, +7 for Trump, but now it is neck and neck. And you've seen that because we had Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in North Carolina just in the last week. So, guys, just going to have to turn off your TV for the next few months if you get tired of political ads because they are coming to you. All right, you ready for number 3?
Absolutely.
All right. This goes back to Judge Zachary. When asked which candidate represents middle-class values the best, did folks choose Harris or Trump?
Trump.
Judge Valerie. Judge Valerie.
That's fine.
Is that fine too?
Yeah.
Okay. So Judge Valerie is on the book with Trump. You.
I'm going to say they said Harris.
Judge, I'm sorry.
Again.
Come on. So check this out. Harris polled 12 points higher than Trump when people asked which candidate represents the middle class. Harris at 45, Trump at 33.
Oh.
That totally blew my mind. That's
I know.
why I put that.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, because I thought he was like the president for the middle class. In fact, he is, I think, because he does such good things, but sorry.
Well, and I'll be fair, Democrats have a built-in advantage with that question.
Do they?
They do. They have a built-in advantage with that question. Because 43% of the people largely are Democrat, right? And so I think they have a built-in advantage with that. And then I think you will see some Republicans look at the fact that, or some other independents might look at, well, Trump's a billionaire. How can he represent the middle class, right? Even though his policies did more for the middle class than any president for a very long time. So
absolutely.
But I think that's a built-in Democratic advantage.
Yeah, it's crazy though too, because like inflation is like the number one issue of all of our, and this is all Biden-Harris inflation, Bidenomics that they love, that she was a part of, and that's the one thing that's hurting the middle class more than anything.
Yes,
but,
it is.
Man, perception versus reality kills me every time. Okay, number 4. Now this is kind of a give me, so I might have to do a caveat on this one. So, David, it's back to you.
Okay.
Which candidate will protect democracy the best? Same poll. Which candidate will protect democracy?
Trump.
Okay.
I want to say Trump too. Do I need to pick Harris since is it Harris?
Pick Harris.
Harris.
I gotta help her. She's on our side.
Okay, that's fair.
I need help.
Okay, come on. I may have a speeding ticket too one day. Okay. All right. So Judge is on the board with 1. Yes, when asked those questions, North Carolinian said that Harris at 40%, 10 points higher than Trump about protecting democracy. Remember, they're the party of democracy.
Was this poll taken in like Raleigh?
No.
I mean, like, did they just stay in Raleigh and
It was
then
actually
maybe filter over to Charlotte?
They used High Point University folks, so that this is actually the poll was conducted, but not that it was 1,200 statewide. Okay, don't be hating on the poll.
Okay, I'm not just
asking.
asking.
I mean, I mean that sounds like a loser talk.
Well, I'm just saying.
All right. Okay. Number 5. This goes back to the judge. Which candidate supports veterans? Trump.
Oh, Trump all day long.
Okay. So since you guys both had the same answer, what do you think percentage-wise of those, to get the point, said Trump over Harris? And I will give you a hint. It's between 30 and 60%. So which percentage of people who were asked which candidates Trump supports veterans, but at what percentage was that over Harris?
55.
55. What do you got?
I would say 52.
47%. Only 40.
Only 47?
Only 47%.
What percent said she supported veterans?
41. A 6 point up
Okay, so
on
41% of the respondents are quacks.
Trump.
We've established our quack baseline.
Yeah, I was just watching so I watch BBC a lot because I like to hear other perspectives about around the world. When
You like the accents.
Well, fair.
The accents are good.
It's not about the news. You just like the accents.
It is very soothing.
It is soothing, right? When you have it on the background and you're listening. And they were talking about, since we pulled out of Afghanistan, about how the Taliban and these poor women cannot go to school anymore or college, and they're kicking them out, and they are being told to stay at home and all this other stuff. And think about all the veterans who lost their lives over there to help and protect those folks. And now, to me, that's that question to me, I'd be I would think 80% people would say Trump supports veterans better. And it's only 6%. Or 6 points. That's crazy. Okay. Who was that? Oh, David, you got that point.
Well, I'm surprised because, we have 4 people on our slate of conservative judges, and the 3, me and 3 gentlemen, and the 3 gentlemen all are doing
Veterans?
Military service right now.
Wow. Oh, doing military service right now.
Yes.
Wow. They're busy.
That's awesome.
They are.
Oh my gosh, those are busy people.
And running for election.
Yeah.
Running for election.
Yeah. I've always said that if you want something done, ask a busy person, not someone who's
That's true.
Yeah. I don't want to say lazy, but
Not busy.
Not busy. Let's say not busy because they'll get done if you ask
Someone
the
with
busy
plenty
person.
of time.
Exactly.
All right, so now the total to the game, you might say
That was pitiful.
4-1. All right, it's okay. It's okay. I think we're going to do better here. Which candidate is better at creating jobs? David.
Trump.
Trump. Okay. Same thing. It is Trump. How many percentage points over Harris is that? In other words, if it was 20 to 30, then it'd be 10%. Mm-hmm. So David, tell me how many percentage in this poll was Trump over Harris?
8.
5.
8. Actually, it was 7, but you got it. Oh, no. Yeah, so only 7. So 48% of the poll respondents said that creating jobs is Trump would be better at. Again, oh my gosh. Unemployment is up this last month.
Explain to me how it works that Trump is better on jobs by a decent amount, but Harris is better for the middle class. How does that? Because don't the middle class need jobs? I mean, there's
that's what I'm telling you. That's what I was reading these polls, and it was just the perception, and the Democrats are so good at deceiving folks with their message of joy and hope.
So much joy.
So much joy.
Well, and the middle class needs good paying jobs.
Yes.
Not the service jobs that don't pay much.
Right.
They need real jobs where you can support a family.
Well, luckily, they're just going to have all the illegal immigrants come in and take over all of those service jobs. So then, the other folks. I mean, is that anyways? I digress. Okay.
So have I won yet?
You're pretty close.
Have I won yet? Because
You're
we're
pretty
running out of
close.
time. I hadn't won yet.
Okay.
Wait,
okay.
Senator, I do much
Ma'am.
better with multiple choice.
Oh,
There it is. There it
yes, we're over. Okay. So, I guess we should be done because it is over. And the other stuff gets into some other polling that's not very exciting for me, which is for our gubernatorial race.
Yeah,
right
we'll
now.
just skip off on that.
Let's
We want people to go into the
talk
weekend
about
happy.
that one. Yeah,
Judge Valerie Zachary, thank you so much for being here with us. Just a reminder, Judge Jefferson Griffin, Tom Murray, of course, Judge Zachary, and Judge Chris Freeman are the slate of folks that we are looking at and want to push across the line. If you're interested in learning more, go to judges.nc.gop, and you can learn more about all of the judge candidates. Judge, thank you so much for being here. It was fantastic to talk with you.
I've had a great time. Thank you for having me.
And one little quick thing. Re-elect judgezachary.com, and she will happily take your donations to help her and Lee go from Murphy to Manio and get your vote.
Outstanding. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great weekend.